Hi Michelle, how are you?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
Good. It's my first time doing an interview. I've never done anything like this, like I said. So we're just gonna wing it, see how it goes. For those of you that don't know who you are, like what do you do?
What do I do? I
Yeah.
feel like I wear many hats. I run an acupuncture marketing website that used to be called Modern Acupuncture Marketing. Sad story now. It's my name, michellegrasek.com.
Which is even
But
better.
is it? I don't know. I had some acupuncture students pop into my office the other day and they were like, Tier, we really loved modern acupuncture marketing as a name and your name's kind of lame. And I was like, oh, really? Tell me how you really feel, which I totally get. So I run that. I do acupuncture part-time and then I actually work full-time in administration at it's New York Chiropractic College technically, but it's where I went to acupuncture school. The acupuncture school is like a smaller subset of it.
Oh,
So
okay. Where did the idea of MichelleGressick.com, where did that idea come up from just to do marketing and acupuncture?
I always really loved like the marketing aspect of my practice. And I think at first, so I graduated from acupuncture school in 2010, and then I was in private practice for almost 4 years in Rochester. And at first, I don't think I realized that it was the marketing that I loved so much, but I just knew that I loved like outreach and educating people about acupuncture. So, like doing lots of talks at libraries and spas, and then working on my website and writing articles about acupuncture and sending out newsletters. So then one day it kind of occurred to me like all of this is marketing. And I was trying to like tell my mom about it. And apparently I was
Hmm.
telling her like a lot. So she was finally like, why don't you like start a blog and you can like tell the internet and in a nice way, like tell
Yeah.
the people who care
And this was
kind
back
of
in
thing.
2010?
This was probably 2014, I believe I started the blog. So I had been running my practice for about 4 years at that point, and it kind of all came together for me where I was like, I just love the marketing aspect of running a business, which I never expected because a lot of people are like, oh, I'd rather poke my eye out with a rusty spoon than
Yeah.
think about marketing in my spare time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Did you have a business background before as well, prior, or oh no, okay.
No, not at all. I have a Bachelor of Arts in biology and a minor in English literature from undergrad, and that was it.
Oh, so that's very, very different. Okay,
Yeah.
I think most people assume that she comes from a business background. She's a marketing
Oh,
guru. She
really? No,
oh
I just do.
okay.
I read a lot of books. I love following like marketing podcasts and other people who talk about marketing online and that
Hmm.
kind of. And I
Hmm.
feel like I love trying new marketing avenues, and I almost always do them wrong, I guess, which is great for teaching other people because then I can be like, hey, I did this and it was terrible. Don't ever try this kind of thing. Uh, yeah. So
What
I'm not
make
afraid to go out there and try stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. Just like the acupuncture, you just gotta try, fail, try, fail, try, fail.
Yes, true.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So what makes you passionate or what makes you excited about marketing? Because it's almost when I think a lot of people especially accus out there, they're very kind of hesitant to marketing or resistant to marketing. Oh, marketing equates to sales, sales equates to sliminess, and it's
Yeah,
uneasy, and it's just like that uncomfortable conversation that it stirs up a lot of emotions. You know, it's such
it
a
does.
it's almost on par with the dry needling thing. Like it's people get really
Yes.
like
Yeah.
what drove you toward the marketing specifically?
So when I first started out in acupuncture, I feel like I got super lucky and I ran into this woman. Her name is Deb, who became my marketing mentor basically for
Awesome.
the entire time that I lived in Rochester and was in practice up there, so about 3.5 years. And we did a trade for pretty much that entire time. I gave her cosmetic acupuncture, that's one of my specialties, and she gave me like an equivalent number of hours of her time for not just teaching me marketing, but also like really keeping me accountable. So we would meet once a week at a coffee shop and talk about like, here were all of the ideas that she had for me, and then pick which ones we wanted to move forward on. And she would like give me assignments and then I would see her once or twice a week as an acupuncture patient. And before I put needles in, she would be like laying on the table and she'd be like, "Did you do that thing? Did you call that person?" And I would be like, "I just want to put needles in your face. Like, what
Just
do we have to
leave,
do?"
yeah.
Yeah. And then I would be like, "No, I didn't." And she'd be like, "Okay, well, while I'm sleeping, like, you need to
Mm.
go email them. Just do it." So she was phenomenal. And I have never met anyone so enthusiastic just about life in general. And that
Yeah.
definitely, that came through in the way that she taught me marketing. She would always get really pumped about everything we were doing.
Mm.
And if I ever felt like it was sleazy, she would remind me, one of her ways of looking at marketing is just telling the people who need you that you exist. Because you can help so many people with acupuncture, but if you never tell them, then they have no idea. And
Yeah.
that's a terrible shame for a lot of reasons. They're missing out on that healthcare that they could have. So, yeah, Deb is pretty much the reason
She's much the
for.
reason. Okay. Yeah, I think that does I see the commonality whenever I read about people that are successful in business or other industries. They always go back to, oh, I had a mentor, I had someone that
Oh,
helped me along the way. And I think it's like a really, just an important thing. I just think about my teachers as my mentors, but I
mhm.
think most people don't really think to have a business mentor. And I think it's kind of like the yin and the yang. Like you have so much,
Yeah.
it's got to balance itself out, and I think it's a wonderful thing. So what about how did that whole thing come together where you just like, I want to do this and help other people? Like when was that kind of that moment, like, okay, I want to do this, I want to change the game for people, because it's a dismal industry, like it's hard, it's an uphill battle, but it's
It
worthwhile,
can
but
be.
it's always an
Yeah.
uphill battle. Yeah, like what do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Like what made me decide to like really start the website and like
Yeah.
start reaching people
Yeah.
with that message.
Yeah.
It just felt like I really had something to say about it. And that kind of surprised me because even though, Deb and I were very enthusiastic in our conversations with each other, I don't know why I felt the need to like teach it and share it with other people. Um, I still don't really know where that came from. I just felt like maybe it's because I love writing and I needed an outlet at that time. So a long time I felt like I was writing all of these articles literally to no one, to like crickets or my mom. Like my mom was the only person who read them, like 2014. And she
Oh,
would be like, am I allowed to comment? And be like, nice job, honey. I'm like, yes,
and
totally
then
comment. Go
totally
ahead.
comment.
Yeah. But I felt like it was a shame that no one in acupuncture was really having these conversations, and they felt very necessary to me, right? Like
Mm.
too many acupuncturists that I knew personally felt like I can either be a good acupuncturist or I can be good at marketing. I cannot be both. And I just felt like that's absurd, right? You can learn marketing like you can learn anything else. And again, I had an effervescent teacher, Deb, who made it really easy to learn marketing. And I understood that other people didn't have a Deb. So in part,
Yeah.
it was like, how can I teach them what she's shown me and how can I do it in a fun way? Because if you read marketing online, it's very dry and boring and there's jargon and you're like, oh, God, I
Stop.
really would rather be like asleep or doing something else, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was just trying to get that more fun message out there about marketing in our specific industry because no one was having that conversation.
What do you think is missing in the TCM, like the Chinese medicine school? Like what kind of marketing is being taught to students right now, if any? Because I know when I was in school, there was literally zero marketing whatsoever. Didn't tell you how to run a business or teach. Because I think in China it's a very different
Yes.
situation, because it's like my problem was getting rid of patients when we were in China, because
That's
we'd
so
see like
funny.
60 people, in an afternoon or in a day,
Oh,
and like,
I
but
can't.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you just do one rotation, then you're just like, all right, cool, I don't want to think about marketing because it's like you have enough trouble already, you don't want more trouble. But
Right.
when I moved to Australia, I was like, cool, I'm here, I got a website, I got my name cards, like where
Yeah,
is everybody? What are you talking about? It's me, And
exactly.
so, what is it like in the new? What's the situation in terms of teaching students how to market themselves in business, preparing themselves for the real, quote unquote, real world when they graduate? What's it like over there in the States right now?
So the school that I work at, Finger Lake School of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine, which is in like upstate Western New York, we have two practice management courses. One
Cool.
is more like the nuts and bolts of like starting a business and running a practice. It's more like HIPAA regulations, and then if you want to bill insurance, how to do that properly, that kind
Okay.
of thing.
Okay.
And then the second course is more like marketing, patient education, and outreach. So I'm so excited. They actually just offered me the marketing course and asked me to be like the lead not professor, lead adjunct, I guess. In the past, I would guest lecture 4 or 5 times in that 15-week course. And, I think it's just not a topic that people enjoy. They'd rather be teaching like other really cool stuff in the acupuncture program. So they
Yeah.
were kind of like, Michelle likes that. Maybe we just give it to her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, so I cannot wait. I don't feel like one 15-week course is reasonably enough to teach someone how to
Mm.
like identify a specialty, choose a target market, create branding, or get ready to like purchase branding, deal with all their negative mindsets, and then teach
Yeah.
them all the different like free and paid ways that you can market your practice. Like
Yeah.
it's not enough time.
Yeah.
And the only other marketing course that I am familiar with in the US in an acupuncture school is one of the schools in Colorado. I don't know if you've heard of Katie Altnew. She runs Acu which is really similar to my website. It's
Okay.
acupuncture marketing. Yep, she has an online course. She's phenomenal. I just went to Denver and met her for the first time a couple weeks ago. But she was saying that, so she teaches their very similar marketing course for acupuncture
Oh,
students.
cool.
And she also feels like it's
It's not
great that
enough.
the course exists, but yeah, it is not enough time. It's like you're pushing information on the students, and they really just want to be studying like diagnosis instead.
Diagnose, yeah, points.
I
What
don't
cool
want
points to
to
use?
talk about marketing, yeah.
Yeah. But
Especially on a Friday morning when they're like,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I think back then I didn't see the importance of it either. I just got hit hard, you know. But you mentioned mindset. Like how important do you think mindset is in the relative scheme of things, when it comes to promoting? Like, because I know we have this, we're so giving. We want to like fix the world, and we're like, this is our medicine, and then, but at the same time, when it comes to money, it's like, oh. It'll just give me $45. It'll be fine,
Right.
But you're not
Yeah.
thinking about rent. You're not thinking about, I mean, now I've got a wife and 2 kids. And then the
Yeah.
tax man takes another 20%. So, but you're always like, it's always that constant, like, I'm a doctor, but I don't acknowledge the businessman I need to be or businesswoman I need to be. How would you say to overcome that kind of that to and from all the time? Like that constant conflict.
Yeah, gosh, I feel like mindset is so important, but I also feel like it's kind of getting a bad rap lately because it's like very trendy to talk about mindset.
The
But I feel
universe,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. Like it's not about like tell the universe that you want patients and the universe will send them. It's not that kind of mindset, right? Like I
I tried
think
that.
it's super important.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
tried
tried
that too.
that.
When I was first in my office, and I'm like, here I am, I'm concentrating so
Yep, yep,
much.
yep, yep. The chi. Yeah.
But I think mindset is actually super practical because if you have already decided in your mind that something is going to be uncomfortable and it's not going to work, then you're either not going to try it at all or you're not going to give it your best effort. You're like, maybe you'll try marketing like a little bit and then you won't really commit and you'll be irregular with it, which is a shame because marketing is all about consistency.
Okay.
And so obviously it's not going to work if you just like dip your toe in like a couple different times and then you're like, well, it didn't work. I knew it wasn't going to work. So I do feel like it's essential to at least be aware of the different negative mindsets that can be just making you turn off when you think about marketing. But man, I don't know if there's an easy way to overcome them because there's so many different kinds. Like in my online course, we talk about 8 different kinds and like 8 specific negative mindsets that can be limiting. And sometimes I'm just like out for a jog and I'll be like, oh my God, I thought of another one. I need to make another video and include another negative mindset. So I guess if I had to think of like the big overarching thing that I feel like can help fix almost all of them, it's that just remember that in all of your marketing, you're just reaching the people who need you. Like you're just letting them know that acupuncture can help them and that your clinic is in their community, right? Like you're around the corner, easy to find, and acupuncture can make their life better. When you come at marketing from that angle, it eliminates like all the sleaze. It's so genuine. You're
Mm.
just like, here I am. I can
Yeah.
totally help you with that knee pain. Like my clinic is there. Just come inside.
Just come. Just come with me.
just just come say hi to me, right? You don't even have
Yeah.
to sign up for an appointment. Just say hello.
Yeah. So how? So in terms of, because right now I think society's so changed so much in the past, even the past 4 years. Everyone's kind of living in this half virtual world, half real world. If not even, we spend most of the time in front of the screen land. How much time would you allocate to the virtual side of it versus the real side of it, like the getting out and the flyer drops, the introducing yourself to the local small businesses? What would you suggest in terms of time allocation? Where would you put majority of your energy if you were
Yeah,
starting out over again?
right. If you're brand new, I would recommend like 50-50
Okay.
because I know that I'm an introvert. And so my initial reaction when I graduated was to try to do all of the online things. But it's like you don't have any
Yeah.
Facebook followers, you don't have any email subscribers, your website has no SEO. Like that takes time to build. So eventually I started going to like networking meetings or I didn't actually live in the area where I practiced. I eventually moved there. And then like I would see people that I recognized in like the grocery store or like going for a walk. And it became clear to me that even though I'm an introvert, like going outside and doing those like actual in-person marketing efforts, it really does make a difference. And it's worth that like little bit of discomfort that people might have when they think
Mm.
about, like a networking meeting or something like that. So I would
Yeah.
50, don't neglect like the real people in the real world because it's so much easier to build trust in person, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what we're going for. We're asking people to let us put sharp objects in them. It's not like we're saying like, buy a pizza from my pizzeria, like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
on acupuncture. We need to convince them, and that's easier done in person.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because a common thing I see with recent graduates is like, oh, I'm gonna get my Instagram game tight. I'm gonna, get a Facebook thing, and I'm just like, but yeah,
Which
like
isn't bad,
it's
but
just not bad at all. I think, but it's when you're first starting out because you don't really know where to go, and the easiest thing is like, oh, I'm just gonna make an Instagram photo. I'm just gonna, take some photos of Li4 and then show some pictures
yeah.
of cupping, and people will just kick down the door, and
Yeah, and I think a lot of marketing is like how all of your marketing efforts work in concert with each other. So, like, yes, totally crush it with your Instagram game so that
mm,
when you build up a following, everything you have looks really professional and is interesting to your audience. But the first thing I always recommend to new graduates is wherever you open your clinic, like, walk around and just introduce yourself to all of the businesses in the area. Bring your cards, ask if you can take some of their cards. Go at a time when business is slow. Like, don't go to a restaurant at like dinner time, right? Go at like 2 or 3 when everybody's bored anyway, and they have a chance to actually talk to you. I think that's huge. That's probably the best way to start.
that's the best way to start.
Literally letting them know, like, I'm here. I
Yeah,
wasn't here last week, but I am now.
it's such a scary, nerve-wracking thing as well. It's
It is,
walking into
yeah.
a business like you expect them like get the worst thing you do is get kicked out, but just like I'm just
Oh, they never would. It's not that
yeah
kind of soliciting, I don't think.
yeah
The only time I ever had like even a mildly negative feedback was I went to a dentist's office and it was apparent like they were swamped. They were in the middle of some kind of crisis, and all I did was like introduce myself to the
you're like
receptionist,
hi like get
and I
out.
could tell, yeah, I could tell that she was like distressed and didn't have time for me. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm gonna leave and come back later.
uh,
But I've never had anybody be like, this is soliciting, leave me alone. Because I always say to them, like, I have a board in my office where I'd love to put your card in your brochure. And if you have flyers, like,
yeah
and come visit me in my office or whatever. And if it's other small business owners, like, they get it. They're like, wow, that's really nice.
yeah, just make it a win-win situation rather than all about me.
exactly. What kind of value can you provide to them so it feels good to them too?
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's amazing. I didn't even think about that yet. Just don't go during peak hour. Go during a time when it's slow, and that does make sense. I didn't think about that. Yeah, 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 yeah. So sometimes I hit up yoga studios, or I'll be around.
That's
I hit
great.
up the health cafe and things like that. What about for like a new graduate or a fresh practitioner? What would you say were the top three mistakes like you made like coming out the bat? Like what? Or the top, you could go 300, but top three,
Yeah.
like,
So the first mistake that I made was I printed all these postcards to like introduce myself in the area, and then I'm such a stalker, and I love using like the power of the internet. So what I did is I used like Google Maps, and I found like by hand I recorded like all of these addresses near like the clinic, and it's almost like a cold call. It was a cold postcard,
like old
right? Like
postcard.
I
Okay.
just, yeah, like I wrote all of these postcards to people who had never heard of me before, had no idea who I was, and then just sent them out and was like, "Hey, I'm here." That did not work at all. Like the postcards were not expensive, but it was not a good use of my money because I didn't get a single person who called and said, "Hey, I got your postcard in the mail." And
Right.
part of that, I think, is I like to use the pizza analogy where, like, if I was a pizza shop and I sent someone a coupon for like $5 off, they would be like, "Oh, I know what
Pizza.
pizza is. I love pizza. Like, I'm
Right.
totally gonna use this person."
Yeah.
But for acupuncture, it's like too foreign, right? It's too
Hmm.
much. I don't know what acupuncture is. I don't know how I got this. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like they have so many questions, and they're not just going to call and be like, "I love acupuncture. I can't, I'm so glad you're around the corner." Um, so I wouldn't recommend that. It didn't work in my community, and maybe it had to do with my message. If other people want to try it, I'd love to hear if they can make it work. The other thing I really did wrong that I wouldn't recommend was doing Groupon.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I guess it's not that it was wrong. It's just that you make so little money. I made like $12 an appointment,
Hmm.
and it was just so many people. And it just seemed never ending. Because in the beginning, you're excited and you're like, "Oh, I have all of these people who bought it and have this chunk of money in my bank account." And then you
Yeah.
realize that you would literally be seeing these people for like 3 months, making
Wow.
$12 an hour or an
Whoa.
appointment. Yeah. But the only good thing for me that really came out of Groupon was that is how I met Deb, my marketing mentor.
Oh,
She pretty
okay.
much, yeah, she showed up for a package of 3 treatments, I think. And then when the Groupon ended, she was like, "I want to continue acupuncture with you, but I don't want to like pay cash for it." And I'm like, "What?"
Oh, she's a hustler. She's got her hustle on. She's like,
I was like, "I am really not sure where this can be going." Like, and she was like, "Well, we should do a trade." And then she told me like she charged, I think, $110 for like specific marketing advice per hour, and I charged 120 for cosmetic acupuncture. So we just did it on a one-to-one basis. But really, that was like the best thing that came out of Groupon. Otherwise, it was exhausting, and I felt like a workhorse. Like, ugh, $12 an hour. That was
that's
no good.
yeah. So of those Groupon, I don't know, call them patients or clients. How many
Yeah.
of them How many of that did those actually convert over to, say, a long term client?
I don't remember. There were definitely some. That
Okay.
was probably almost 7 years ago when I did it, and I wish I had kept better notes.
Hmm.
Um, some people did stay, but I felt like a lot of people just bounced from Groupon to Groupon. So they were really only looking
Right.
for a deal. So
Yeah.
when my 3 treatments was over, then they just went and looked for another acupuncturist who was offering a Groupon, and they went
Yeah.
to them instead.
Yeah.
So it's not a great way to get like they got no skin in the game, right? Like they're
Right.
not committed
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't do it again. Actually, I don't know if acupuncturists are allowed to do Groupon in New York State anymore,
Oh wow.
but
All right.
it might be better for
That's
all of us.
it's probably a good thing. Yeah. It's a very similar thing in Australia as well. I know people that have tried it, and it's the same situation. It's just promoting that. All right, you attract the kind of clientele that's like, all right, I'm just gonna skip from one to the next to the
Yeah.
next to the next. Yeah, and it's even worse when you promote it as more of like a spa like thing. Like, oh, come get your massage
Yeah.
and your facial acupuncture and a foot rub, and then they're like, all right, well,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's promoting bad business habits. What
It really was. Yeah.
yeah. What was the last one? Would you said?
One more. So this wasn't necessarily something that I did wrong. It actually worked really well as far as marketing is
Oh,
concerned,
great.
but
Yeah.
I got tired of it. So I offered like a complimentary 10-minute foot massage as a special. So
Oh,
eventually, kind of like
interesting.
after the coupon, yeah, I was like, I don't want to offer coupons to reduce the cost of my treatments anymore. I'd like to offer something above and beyond because really in advertising, like to get people's attention, you need to give them a reason to call you. It's not enough to be like, I'm here, hey. You need to either give them a discount or give them a special offer. So their upgrade was the 10-minute foot massage. And I don't love feet. Like, I don't know what else to say. I don't so, but people loved it. I had people who came in and after their treatment, like this is their first acupuncture treatment ever, they clearly loved the foot massage. And then afterwards, they were like, well, I can't wait back. And the reason that I bought this in the first place was for the foot
For
massage.
the foot rub.
Yeah, I was like, really? So then I kind of felt like I couldn't stop doing the foot massage because I wanted all these people to keep coming back. And it was fine. Like I'm awesome at foot massages now. This was years ago even, but I feel like I had it down to a science and I made space for it within each treatment, but it got really like boring after a while. And I was like, I don't love feet. I don't really want to touch feet
If I
like
touch
this
another
every
foot, I'm just gonna.
time of day. Like, oh my gosh. So eventually I like canceled it. So it worked super. People loved it, but it just wasn't like my cup of tea.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that again either.
But but the lesson learned was to just rather than doing the Groupons, just add an extra bonus on top of the offer to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Hey. I mean, because I don't mean to focus on the negative things, but there's always something positive that
Oh
comes from
yeah.
these lessons and things as well. So what about the top? I don't know, top thing that's worked for you the best, like by far, that's changed your practice life when in
Yeah.
practice.
Oh man, so I don't actually do this anymore, but I did Google ads for probably a year and a half, and I felt like that was phenomenal. Um, it like I think it cost $188, and it brought my ad to like the top of the search page
Oh
whenever
wow.
anybody typed in Rochester acupuncture. So my ad came up first in the list. And at that time, it was 180 a month. And at that time, not a lot of acupuncturists were participating. Like there was no
Mm-hmm.
competition for that category.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like the people that I treat are mostly between like 35 and 60-year-old females. And some of the women who were like 60-ish didn't realize that those are advertisements at the top of Google, right? They had
Yeah,
no
yeah,
idea.
yeah, yeah.
So, like, you came up right at the top of Google. Good for you.
Uh
And I'm
huh.
like, yep, I
Yep.
paid for
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, it's working. But then it would bring in like triple the amount of money that it cost me for
Oh,
the
that's
ad. So it
amazing.
always paid for itself and sometimes like double or triple. So I felt like that was like the biggest like game changer aha moment. But like I do feel like the small things that I did over time really
Mm.
added up. Like I was always tweaking my website and always sending out newsletter like emails. And I would
Yeah.
get such good feedback. Eventually, I think I came up in like the fourth slot on Google. So not first organically, but
Yeah.
like fourth or fifth. And I kind of feel like once the Google ads were over, that's really what made a huge difference for me.
Okay. Yeah. It
Yeah.
just changes so quick because
It does.
2010 it
Yeah.
was Google ads. Then now it's Facebook ads, but Facebook ads are getting
Yeah.
expensive now. And then some
Yeah.
people are saying put your money down on Instagram ads, and it's such a ever evolving Rubik's cube of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it really is.
so you talked about your course. Like what can you talk about a bit about your course? Like what does it entail? What does it encompass? What does it go over?
Yeah. So I like to think that it is everything. Everything you need. So it's really for people who are in the beginning of their practices, maybe
Okay.
within like the first 1 to 5 years. So they still feel like they have a lot of building to do, but they're not sure, like they really don't have confidence in their marketing. Maybe they didn't have any marketing education in acupuncture school, or they just feel really overwhelmed by all the marketing options. Like they know some
Yeah, that's
avenues they
me.
could try,
Yeah.
right? But you don't know where to begin because you are getting bombarded like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, write an email newsletter. You're like, I don't know how to do any of that.
Yeah.
So basically in the course I walk everyone through like there's like 5 or 6 like core marketing concepts that you need to know in order to like be good at marketing your practice. So it doesn't have to be complicated. They're very basic ideas, right? And then the next chapter is about mindset and just keeping these concepts in the back of your mind in case they pop up for you and being aware of them is like the first step. Then we go through like identifying if you're going to specialize, identifying your target market, because if you're ever going to create effective ads or copy for your website and your brochures, like you have to know who you're speaking to, right? So you determine your target market so that you can decide on your message. And then once you've done that, all of your marketing is so much easier because it's kind of like you've already figured it out. It's just the rest of the course is like all the various ways you can deliver that message to the right people. So we talk about, oh my gosh, there's lots and lots of videos and worksheets. Um, a lot of it is like social media hacks, helping people be
Mm.
consistent delivering their message over
Yeah.
social media, that kind of thing. So it's a lot. I'm actually wondering if it needs to be pared down a little bit.
Pared
I
down.
have, well, right, because I don't want people to log into the course and feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I have 21 beta testers are currently in, and they're giving me really good feedback. So yeah, the next thing I'm going to tackle with them is like, because they're like, most of them are between like 40 and 80% completed in the course.
Yeah.
So I want to pick their brain and be like, so, how's the organization? Is it too much information? Like, what can I eliminate to like clear up space in your brain? That kind
Mm.
of thing. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm, mm, mm,
it's
mm.
pretty good feedback phase so far.
It's been the feedback's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
that's really good because I think it's very important to get kind of a guidance from, because when I first started I was doing business courses, but these were people from other industries, and
Right.
even though it is very similar, it's still at the end it's different, because I'd be getting advice from like, this is how you get your plumbing in, plumbing service out there, this is how you get your,
Yeah,
and yeah, I get it, it's a service, but it's not acupuncture, and there's always these hurdles of
yeah,
like the conversations of like, oh, needles, ew, I don't like
yeah.
needles, or I'm scared of needles, or does it work, or
Acupuncture, does that really work? And you're like, that is the rudest question of all time. Like, would you see a dentist? Like, oh, dentistry, that really works, huh? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
I can't.
can you imagine going to a surgeon, like,
Yeah,
what is the scientific evidence of back surgery working? And I really do
yeah,
question sometimes, because I run into so many people that have had back surgery, like, wait a minute, your back's supposed to be better, and that costs you $20,000 to feel worse.
yeah,
Like why aren't people questioning that? But it's such a
yeah.
but
They should be, because research for surgery is just as about as difficult to carry out as research for acupuncture. Because how can you have
yeah,
a double-blind controlled study for cutting into someone's body?
yeah, yeah.
You can't.
But yet
That's fascinating.
everyone does it. Yeah. So, do you have any? Where can we find out more about your course?
So if you can go right to my main website, which is michellegrasek.com. And then there is a link up at the top and it just says courses. And the website for the courses is michellegrasek.thinkific.com. And then if you follow me I'm on Facebook. That's actually still Modern Acupuncture. I haven't been able to change that yet. But that is, and then I have lots of like links you can click to the course as well on Facebook.
Okay, so I'll make sure to link it up below to anyone that's interested or listening. Is there any special offers you have going on, or are you still doing the beta testing phase, or do you have anything going on with
Ooh,
that?
yeah, I have a bunch of really exciting stuff coming up. So the the beta phase will end on July 9th, basically. So on July 10th, the doors open up to everybody. There's going to be a $50 discount code, and there's going to be a bunch of like bonus interviews, like really picking people's brains for like what marketing works for them, what didn't work, like trying to get into some of the nitty gritty. And then I'm also offering one full scholarship to the course. So
Cool.
starting
Awesome.
yeah, in a couple of days, I will be asking people to send me quote applications, which is just like recording a 2-minute video on your phone of why you should get the scholarship and then email it to me. Um, and basically, they'll get the whole course for free. Plus, I actually have, I just did the entire course booklet actually in print because all of this is available for download inside the
Mhm.
course. But that requires you to like print it at home, so it's already printed. In a t-shirt and all sorts
A
of cool stuff.
t-shirt. All right. I'm
Yeah,
I'm sold.
yeah, yeah. The t-shirts. So I'm like a little kid. They're acupuncture world domination t-shirts, and I'm like, that's a way to bring around the acupuncture school. It's gonna be so exciting.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Well, thanks a lot for taking time out of your day to do this interview. I really appreciate it. I just
Oh
want to
yeah,
acknowledge you and say thank you so much for. I mean, they've helped me. I mean, just there's some times where I started and I was like, man, I got nothing to do. I'm like kind of stressing out. I'm just gonna go on the internet and try to shut my brain off, and which is the worst thing to do.
yeah,
But I'd run into your stuff and I was like, oh, that is pretty helpful. Like that is pretty,
good,
yeah. And plus, I don't want to be watching videos on the train because it eats up all your data. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna read a blog, and then
perfect,
yeah, and
good.
it's just maybe I'll reach out to her, and maybe it'll yeah. So cool. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, Michelle.
Absolutely.